All right, so now I'm going to introduce an element that, for whatever reason, is hardly ever taught. It's never taught in boxing, and that is this: when I start to teach people just off instinct, they always do this. If I tell you to throw a jab, I tell you to throw a double jab. Everybody throws that double jab toward their lead hand, whether they're right-handed or left-handed. They always throw that double jab toward their lead hand. So what we've been taught is to generate our offense in that same circular motion. Going again about how the brain generates motion, generates movement. It generates speed and power in a circular motion. But we always generate it in that same direction. So when basically what happens is, if I'm sitting in here, the way the traditional boxing brain works, we're sitting in here, my opponent is in front of me. What I have done mentally is I've created a field of play. My field of play is actually from here around to here. Everything that's going to happen in this fight for me that I can expect from my opponent is going to happen somewhere over here. Because we're so used to them running their offense this way. Even when they shift, if they shift and I face them, they will start their offense in this same field of play, depending on where we're positioned. So, what I love to do, and if anyone who's ever trained with me and anyone who's ever going to train with me, one of the elements that we teach is how to run your offense to what I consider your strong side or your dominant hand. When we always are used to running our offense toward our lead hand. Okay? So, in order to do this, you're going to move slightly different, and it is awkward. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you it isn't, but if you train it and you work it, you practice this, it is one of the most effective tools you'll ever have in your toolbox. And I'm telling you this from experience. I'm telling you this from watching people develop over the years, and it's one of the things that once they get, it instantly becomes a huge advantage. Okay? So if I'm watching my opponent from here, I want to be able to run my offense going toward my right. And it's not just going just laterally over, but you're coming around here so that you can stay within striking distance of your opponent. So when you do that, everything is still off the half steps. Everything is moved on half steps. No big sweeping movements. They're unnecessary. It's wasted energy. It is totally unnecessary. So if I'm focusing on my opponent here, I'm going to push off the lead foot. Now, once again, what we have a tendency to do when we push off this lead foot and we move, we have a tendency to swing this foot out wide here, and we want to avoid that. Also, coming to this side, the way our brain teaches motion and the way we are inclined to want to move is almost as if we're riding a scooter and we kick with the back foot. You're going to see that a lot, and you don't want to take this foot and cross over and kick, even though it feels so natural and it feels so comfortable. Okay? You're actually exposing yourself. Going back to understanding the true boxer stance and the elements that we want to create and maintain, by kicking with this foot like you're on a scooter, you're actually exposing your back foot. So anything that comes from this side, you are vulnerable to. If they come with that looping overhand right or whatnot, you're going to be stuck right in the line of fire. Okay? So the way we're going to move this is when you're pushing on this front foot, you take a small adjustment and shift over just like this. So when you're coming off, now as you're pushing, you still have your offense, so you're pushing off this front foot, able to come right into your offense from here. Okay? And you're going to be able to defend yourself, maintain the alignment you want, create that distance between you and your opponent with your rifle. So even if you're moving to your right, your opponent still has to go through your jab to get to you. Okay? Go, here we go. So now, going over our movement to the right, when your opponents are facing each other, like I alluded to before, there's a field of play that is created. He's expecting everything that his opponent to do to come around this way. So he's ready to drift out and have his opponent move this way. So you'll see when you watch boxing and you may not have been aware of it because it's just so natural. Watch boxing and see, and pay attention to how every time the action starts or every time they're looking for position, everything is rotating in the same direction. And you may see a guy kind of stumble or kind of stutter step over to stop the rotation and get ahead of his opponent because he don't want to be on the back end of that merry-go-round that they're creating, so they can't create and close the distance. So you'll see guys kind of stutter step or whatnot to get better position on that merry-go-round. But the objective that they're holding in their minds, even if it's subconsciously, is to create the conflict in the same direction. All right, so now when you're here, and both of them are looking to go this way, if you get off script and decide you're going to go to the right, which is a great weapon to have in your toolbox, the minute you shift here, boom, in his mind, it's almost as if you stepped out of bounds. So when you make that move aggressively, we're going to make that move one more time. Come back. But at this time, I want you to make that move and shoot your jab off the step. Boom. And there, it causes a bit of a delay on your opponent. Okay? So it causes your opponent to kind of have to stop and recognize what's going on. So when you step into this, boom, your opponent has to figure out how to come this way. If he's never been taught to run his offense to the right, then he goes into a bit of a cover-up or looking for space. So that's where you want your opponent. You want to have that reaction of covering up or getting away, as opposed to when he comes around this way, he knows how to shift and counter, and you got to watch out for the counter shots because he's more comfortable running his offense going this way. You want to create that discomfort simply by stepping into the gaps, just like that. So when you're coming here, you want to create that advantage. Shifting down, boom, boom. So if you're not coming this way, now look at the advantage that you have on the positions. You're always looking for that positional advantage. So now your jab is coming from here. This causes a bit of a cover up and a duck down, and they're trying to get away and this and that, and you can actually create that movement to consistently stay in that gap until your opponent actually pulls all the way out, steps over, and then you got to reset. So it's no big deal. You can just start and run it all over again. But what you're looking at here is being the aggressive and forcing yourself to have that advantage. So you're the only aggressor here because your opponent doesn't understand how to run his offense that way. The sad thing about that is you're going to see that more often than you ever thought about because no one ever teaches it. No one ever shows us that this is a viable movement because we're going off of what we do instinctively, and the brain says move that way, so we move that way. And we've been taught to teach it that way, we've learned it that way, we've applied it that way since the beginning. You understand? So the adjustment is easier here. And they're able to see you more and they're able to see this. But when you're coming here, you come to the right and they stand still. Now coming back left, open, they're sitting in here in a way open position.
Right.
Because a lot of times they're leading out this way to stay away from you.
They'll cross right by your
Yeah, they cross right in front of your hand. Love it.
Go. Pretty much go forward if you're not looking at it.
That's exactly right. Once you get that right, once you come off to this right and they go into that whole
Now
down,
it's okay to go forward.
yeah, you can come down here on that.
Otherwise-
There's nothing there. Everything that would hurt you when I'm here and I do this, everything that would hurt me is way over here somewhere. You know? So if I'm staying aggressive here, I can stay in this gap and you gotta fix this. That's it. But if they don't fix that and they just stay covered up, roll straight downhill on it. You know? Well, as long as you don't hit with illegal shots, but you can fix that. Just make sure you're hitting the right target, not hitting in the back of the head or the kidneys. But he's gonna show you enough because he can't stand not seeing you. He's gonna turn enough to see you. So it always works. Hey, if you can do us a favor, help support the channel and you wanna see more videos like this, help us by liking, commenting, and subscribing, and hit that notification button so we'll know every time we put up new content. Right. Thank you so much.